about that mysterious prelude in the Alice operetta. Yes, for many months this piece of music confounded me. In 1886, Henry Savile Clark and Walter Slaughter, the man behind the music, created a musical, an operetta, called Alice in Wonderland. They had Lewis Carroll's support, and Clark and Carroll exchanged many letters. It opened in the Prince of Wales Theatre, and this is that theatre, the inside of the theatre here, and Carroll liked to sit in the first row of the dress circle, anywhere along here. Well, children came, of course, and so did adults, and it got pretty good reviews. As you can see, Carroll has shown up here, and when he didn't like the Walrus and Carpenter scene, especially how it ended. He thought it ended flat. So he had the Oysters take revenge on the Walrus and the Carpenter, and he created new lyrics for the composer. At the same time, when Alice goes through the mirror, there was a change there, as I will show you. Here's our music. Note our music is close to that scene when Alice goes through the mirror. Act 2 was devoted to Looking Glass. Act 1 was devoted to Wonderland. So, in Act 2, we begin with Alice going through the mirror. She's talking to herself. She climbs on the mantelpiece and goes through the looking glass. Scene 2 is a chess chorus. So our mirror scene is in. But a month later, they're selling a new libretto, and Scene 1 is the chess chorus. Our mirror scene is out. This is just 1 month later. 2 years later, when they have a revival, the mirror scene is also out. This was sold in the lobby as well. However, this is a special version that the stagehands had when they put on the play to help the stagehands organize the actors in the lights. And it's in the Richards collection. Note, our piece of music is curtain music up top. After Carroll died, they put on a new production in 1898, and the mirror scene was also out. And then Slaughter in 1900, he extended the operetta, adding many new pieces. And here it was reinstated with the Cheshire Cat along with Alice. Catherine Richards and Claire Imholtz tell us this. And we'll just support their idea here. So, where did I get this music? Where did it come from? Well, Catherine Richards told me a long time ago that the only known institution that has the score, the full score to the operetta, is the National Library of Australia. They have 2 conductor's scores, actually. One for 1900 and one for 1906. But our page actually dates to 1887. It's a long story, just accept that for now. And of course, in 1887, that is a year that the mirror scene was out. So you see, it's perhaps repurposed here as a prelude. And by the way, this is a conductor's score. Conductors conducted from a short score, not a full score, showing all the instruments. Of course, they do have all the part scores at the library as well. And there is a woodwind section, a brass section, a string section, along with drums, another word for percussion, and harp. I'm going to reduce this down to just instruments that are playing on our piece. We've been looking at the first violins page. This is the page that the first violinists had before them when they played. Yes, they used a manuscript version, not some printed version. Note as well that Act 2 is here and our piece is below. Remember, 1900. That's an in year. It was reinstated, so this makes sense. They also have this interesting cue, repeat till cue something on the other side, which is also in the leader score. So we now know it has something to do with the mirror. Note as well, there's a tremolo marking. They're playing a tremolo. The upper winds, all the upper winds are playing a tremolo. And that's when you take the bow and you go really fast across the string that creates tension, eeriness. In our case, perhaps anticipation. We know what's going to happen, even if Alice does not. Next, let's take a look at the cellos. The cellos, well, it's called curtain music. I think that's just a holdover from what it used to be. But they also have this marking in the score, solo. That means that the cellos are to take the tune. Their tune is to rise above all others. It's a meandering tune. It's in a high register. To me, it's a bored child puttering around the house. The basses. Well, they only play in the last 2 bars here. And note this word pizzicato. They play 6-note pizzicato in a rhythm, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. I have a strange theory here. It's almost embarrassing to admit, but I think the first ba-boom, Alice pulls the gauze that is pretending to be the mirror. She pulls it right, then she pulls it left, then through the opening she pops out her head. You'll be able to hear the music and decide for yourself at the end. Clarinets. We're now looking at the woodwinds. They have this interesting cue at forte only. That's in the flutes and the bassoon as well. Play at forte only. And they have this interesting cue. I don't believe in fairies. So now we know Alice's state of mind before she goes through that mirror. And these words are not in the libretto we know. The libretto for 1900 does not exist. So we have this idea here that the strings are going to play first, repeat till cue, and then the woodwinds are going to take over completely at a forte. We know that the cello is going to have the melody, and the bassoon will have the melody here when the winds take over. So this must mean something, this big change here. In fact, the woodwinds start with this long chord here. This is a long-held chord, and that is true of the flute and the clarinets. There's 1 flute, 2 clarinets, a 3-note chord, and it's held for a long time. That's like an ah. Something's awestruck. Of course, Alice. It's a wide-eyed Alice, and you'll get to decide for yourself. I will play this piece at the end. Now, the drums. They have this 18 means 18 bars tacit. They're not going to play for 18 bars. They don't get to play with the strings. And we see this little pin mark here, so I'm going to bring up that page, the pin page. Here it is. And we can see tri. That stands for triangle. What does a triangle do? Well, it kind of represents magic, fairies, the supernatural. In our case, fairies. Alice sees those fairies. That's what that triangle's doing. Of course, it's random. Imagine it being not random and equal. Fairies are going to be random. They flit about. So, of course, Slaughter has the sound become random. So, the full score. Let's take a look. So I put it all together, and in my music software, and now we can listen to it. I'm going to add a few notes up here, however, that you can read if you like. So now you get to decide for yourself what you hear. And why did this page of music from the conductor's score confound me for so long? Because only the part scores, which I received many months later, have that long-held woodwind chord, which illustrates, obviously, as you have hopefully heard, the wide-eyed Alice.